everyone, Tracy here, and today I'm actually going to be looking at, trying out and reviewing some new acrylic markers, the Simptap acrylic marker sets by Arrtx. So you've seen, I have previously done a review on Arrtx acrylic markers that I absolutely adore. This is a different set. There's actually two sets. This one has 48 saturated colors. This one has 36 saturated colors. Now, what I loved about the other Arrtx acrylic markers was that they didn't actually have the pumping action. You didn't have to pump, you could just go straight ahead and draw with them. And I tend to be a little bit impatient, so I'm going to see how I go with these ones. But first up, let's have a look at the boxes. So the boxes are quite lovely. They come with this elastic here that you can pull off to open up, and then inside you have all of your colors. So in this one you have 48 saturated colors, as I said, and there are some instructions that I have already taken out because I have had a little play with them beforehand. I do like to do that because other times I've gotten on camera, on video, and just had no idea what to do with the thing that I'm supposed to be reviewing. So I always think it's a good idea to just pull a couple out and have a go with them. So in this box you've got 36 saturated colors. Now the colors that are in this box here are also in this box, okay? So it's just a matter of if you want more colors, you're going to go for the 48, less colors, you're going to go for the 36, alrighty? So I'm always interested to see, first up, how something actually works. So let's have a look at that. So we'll go straight for the 48, straight for my favorite color, which is usually a teal or an aqua, something like that. And so basically they have this little pump action on the end here. And this one I've already used, okay? So you can see that it's already primed. The ink has already flowed down into the nib. Let's find one that I haven't actually used yet. Let's see, this one here. So you can see in this one there is no ink in the nib. So what we're going to do is just, oh, forgot. They actually have a cap. See, even when I try something out beforehand, I don't remember what I've done. So each one has a cap on the end, and I guess that is really handy so that if you were traveling and this actually got stuck on something or wedged against something, you might have a bit of a mess on your hand. So what we're going to do is actually shake them up first. Just going to grab a little piece of watercolor paper here before I get my sketchbook out. Give it a good shake. And then, different to Posca, so with the Posca pens you're actually pushing down from the nib. With these you're actually pushing down on the end until, and you can see that the ink starts to come out into the nib quite quickly. Now if you push too much, so you can actually see it flowing down, if you push too much all at once, it will flood. So it's coming out a little unevenly, so what I'm going to do is just kind of have a little bit of a paint with this one. And you can see that it's very opaque, quite beautiful. Really good coverage. And now that one's ready to go. So same with all the others. Just remember to pop your lids back on when on the pump end. And with each one, you're going to want to have a little session where you prime them and get them ready. Pushing down, you can see this ink is coming out from the side. Just shake it a little bit more. And now that one is ready as well. So you can see that they actually are ready quite quickly. The problem I've always had with Poscas is that they seem to take a long time to shake and prime. And I also, maybe because of my impatience, also find that they flood quite easily. These two colors are really beautiful. I'm just having a look at the actual colors on the paint pens themselves, on the acrylic markers themselves. So this yellow that I used, it's actually quite different than the yellow that comes out. This is, I would say, more of an apricot yellow. This looks more of a warm yellow. This one, fairly similar, comes out a little bit darker, which is usual for acrylics. But you're going to want to try them and perhaps do yourself up a swatch chart before you get started with using them, because some of the colors are not going to be as they seem. So this one's looking like a vibrant, kind of almost like a lime green yellow. But when it comes out, you can see, sorry, I'm using a new camera at the moment. I'm not quite sure how all the focus things work. But when it comes out, you can see that it's actually quite a pastel, very different than what is on the lid, okay? So yeah, don't go by the lid color. If you can have a look through the plastic up here, you'll be able to see, and through here, you'll be able to see the actual color that is going to come out. I'm going to have a play with them in my sketchbook, so I can also have a look how they layer and that type of thing. I'm going to pop this one away so you know that you've got the choice of the 36 colors or the 48 colors, but these colors are all included in this box. Okay, so it's just a matter of how many colors do you want to play with. All right, pop this one over here. Let's bring over my sketchbook. And I'm using one of my favorite sketchbooks, which is the Ranger Delusions Creative Journal. Not quite sure what I'm going to do with these today. I tend to work with a lot of mixed media. So when I am testing or reviewing just one product, sometimes I'll actually have a look and see how it works over the top of something that I've already got going on. So let's have a little try of that. So just for example, with this spread that is already happening in my sketchbook, which is acrylic inks, oil pastels, gel pens, I think that's about it. I could then come in and layer over the top with some of the acrylic markers. So I could add in some marks. I could add in some sections of solid color. And I'm always also interested to see how much time I have to actually blend out markers, paint pens, gel pens, etc. Because with the way that I work, I often have very transparent and very opaque areas in my paintings. So great to see that this actually kind of pulls out with water and makes quite a beautiful transparent layer as well. So let's just have a little play over here, perhaps change this flower. Add a little bit more contrast and then bring some water. So it's going to be just, always experimenting with new things. How much water is enough? How much is too much? How much is not enough? Can I see the colors underneath? That's quite lovely. Okay, let's just have a try with another color just to see. So this one is quite it's very limey looking on the kind of between a lime and an emerald green, but I can see it's going to be a lot more pastel. So I think that a lot of these ones that are that the caps are quite bright, they're tending to be not as bright when they actually come out. So this one I had already primed, but I haven't used it for a bit, so it obviously needs a little bit more of a shake. Okay, and maybe another pump. So, okay, so here's interesting. So this one has actually kind of pulled up and fallen out onto the piece. I try not to freak out when things like that happen, and I just go with it. Because I tend to feel like the more you kind of freak out when you have a accident, the worse things get. So instead, I always try to look at these things as happy accidents, and then I actually do something with it. So right now I'm just bringing my bamboo skewer into play and intentionally creating some little flowers out of those green blobs, and it will look like they were always meant to be there. Ta-da! So never freak out when something like that happens. Just take the extra paint and use it as if it was meant to be there. Okay, that's pretty cool. I actually like what's happening there. Let's pull you down so you can see that little accident and how it actually is working within the piece. Okay, so I'm going to put this page aside because obviously that's going to need to dry. I could also pop my finger in there because there's still quite a lot of ink, acrylic paint. I'm used to working with inks, and I could just layer that up a little bit more in a couple of other places. All right, nice, very good. So we'll pop this one out of the way, and because that page is quite wet, I'm going to grab another sketchbook. This time I'm going to grab one of my Royal Talens Art Creation sketchbooks, which is a little bit bigger, and let's actually just do some swatches. Paper is a little different in this one than in the last sketchbook. It's a little thinner, but it still takes a lot of wet medium, and that's what I really love in a sketchbook, is that you can bring lots and lots of wet medium onto it, lots of different. You know what, I think I'm going to swatch directly onto this page that's already in the works. We'll see how we go with that. I may not get to use all the colors. I'm not a huge swatcher. I get bored with swatching. So I'm going to take my cue from the fact that there's a little bit of magenta right here. And so I'm going to add some pink into. Now what I'm finding is that I kind of feel like I might lose these caps. So I'm going to put them all in one little section over here. And then I'm going to try and make sure that I pop them back on. Okay, this one has not been primed. So a few pushes. You will find that sometimes it kind of starts to come out on one side over the other side. And when that happens, you will get some drip. So like I'm just feeling my way through this as well. So if you don't want that to happen, let's just get it primed first over the tissue. This is why I'm loving the other kind that doesn't have the pump action. But anyway, here we are. So let's just start adding in some little swatch flowers. Usually if I have something in my hand, I'll add it into several places. And I'm just going straight over the top of the other colors that are already down on the spread. All right. And then let's bring in a different kind of a pink. Shake well. So this page that was already here came about by something that I do at the end of a painting session, which is I always take my palette. I usually use watercolor paper for my palette, and I'll take the palette at the end of a session and just press it down onto a double spread of my sketchbook, spray it out, use a wet brush, move the colors around, make some little marks, and that way I've got the beginning of something else. So this one is a lighter pink, and let's just bring it into, this one is definitely less opaque than the last one. You see just moving around, so I'm kind of swatching in a way that the introduction of a new color makes sense within the whole piece. Right there. All right, another color that I might not normally use, this kind of deep russet brown. And also I have not primed that one yet. It's a good 10 pumps to actually get that ink moving without kind of flooding the area. Let's have a see. It's quite a lovely color. Layers beautifully over the inks underneath. Okay. Just going for, this one's more like a raw sienna. Actually, I'm going to make sure that I shake them with the nib down. See whether that makes a difference. Oh, this one has already been primed. Okay, this is interesting because when I look at the lid, it's very much a like a raw sienna, but it looks like it's actually metallic gold. So let's have a look at that. Yeah, definitely. It's almost like a green gold, but it does have a metallic shimmer to it, which is quite interesting. Nice. Let's see how it goes up here. All right, let's have a look at some others that may or may not be true to the color that's on the outside. So this one is like a deep, deep green. But when I look through the little viewing plastic area on the side there, it does look more teal. I'm not sure if I have already primed this one. No, I haven't. So let's have a go. Now looking at what's coming into the nib, it's almost like a grey-green. So let's have a look here. Oh, it's quite beautiful. Actually, it's, you know, now it's looking almost like a steel blue. So definitely important to test these out before you pull a colour and try and apply it according to the colour of the lid, because you're going to find it's quite different than what the lid is kind of suggesting. How many colors can I add into this piece? All right, let's try this one here, which I feel like would be also another favorite color. In fact, I've probably already primed this one. No, I have not. Surprise, surprise. So there are quite a lot of choices in that color range that I love, which is those aquas to teals to emerald greens. And there also looks like there are a lot of different kind of yellows and mustards, but whether or not they're true to the color of the lid, I'll have to find out. Oh, this does look like a color that I will love. So again, it's a bit lighter than the lid. It's a color that's already in here, although slightly different than the teal that I have underneath. And as you can see, I'm just making marks. Just kind of making swatchy marks that in the end kind of add up to the suggestion of a field of flowers. Very loose, just keeping it loose. Not trying to control things too much. And again, if I want to, I can add a little water into the marker just to spread that colour around somewhat. And I'm going to just try, let's see, I don't want to make this video too long and I don't want to overwhelm the piece with too many colours, but let's try something that is not even in there. And I really haven't been using a lot of reds lately. So we'll add some red in, we'll see what that does, and then I'll choose one more colour after that. This might just be very overpowering, but we shall see. Oh look, see, it's not even red. Yeah, very interesting. It's kind of almost like a dusty pink or dusty rose, or like a carmine. I don't know. Let's have a look and see what it does when it's actually on the page. But it's definitely not this fire engine red. So I think we can safely say that everything inside the markers is a more pastel version of what's on the lids. Which is fine as long as you know it, right? Yeah, very beautiful. And actually works in quite well with this palette. I think the other red would have just been far too overpowering. All right, what last color am I going to finish off with? Tempted to go for a bit of contrast, but I don't want black. So I'm going to have a try this one and we will see. It just looks like a smoky grey, But of course it could be anything, couldn't it? Let's have a look and see what comes out. Lid off, bit of a pump. Oh, a little bit of overflowing. So you are going to have to watch all areas of the nib once the ink starts coming down. But that's just a lovely deep blue. Now these do dry permanently and they are waterproof. So as I am doing this thing where I'm moving it around with a wet brush, that's something you can only do for a very short time. I'm going to add a little bit more light in a couple of areas. And then overall, I'm going to give these a great rating. They definitely are better than what I have found with the Posca pens. I love the color range. I love the simplicity of the pump action. It feels like I can get the hang of it very quickly. And I love that you have the choice of the 48 or the 48 or the 36 pack. And the quality feels great. I love the fact that you can work with them a little bit when you first lay them down and get them moving somewhat. And I love the way they're layering over the top of the other acrylics and inks in this piece that was already kind of coming along in my sketchbook. So I hope that's given you a little bit of a glimpse into the Simptap acrylic marker set from Arrtx. And I hope you've enjoyed that, learned a little bit. Please feel free to browse through my other videos. I have lots and lots of tutorials here, and I have a whole range of online classes from beginner to really extensive classes for people who may be looking to illustrate children's books. Something for everybody, and I love to teach, I love to help people learn, I love to help people find their own curious nature and to get rid of their critical voices and to embrace happy accidents and just, find your own unique form of expression. And there's so much scope out there to do that. And art is healing. It is something that we need now, that we need always. When we're creating and we get into flow, we can stop the incessant chatter in our minds and put lots of good energy out into the world. So happy creating, everybody, and I'll see you again very soon. Thanks, Arrtx, for sending me these Simptap acrylic marker sets.